From the earliest stirrings of civilization, ambitious souls have labored to etch their legacies upon the enduring tablets of humanity's written history. Countless monarchs and consorts, valiant heroes and hardened soldiers, pioneering physicians and astute lawyers, and in our modern age, even some skibbity-rizzler YouTubers have all sought their place in the grand narrative. And then there are those notorious individuals who weasel themselves into textbooks, not through benevolent public works or acts of valor, but through calculated deception and manipulation of the public for personal gain. They are the charlatans, the tricksters, the con men and con women, and the outright frauds who, in their audacious pursuit of self-gratification, often wove webs of such intricate deceit that they themselves became ensnared in enduring mysteries. Their lives and motivations, their true identities and ultimate fates, are often shrouded in impenetrable fog, paradoxically becoming the very mysteries they helped create. We begin in the 9th century, slowly crawling through the annals of history on toward recent memory. I am the Professor Dark Academia, and these are the most mysterious liars, tricksters, manipulators, and frauds. Pope Joan, 9th century? Pope Joan remains one of history's most intriguing enigmas, her very existence a subject of fervent debate. The traditional narrative places her in the 9th century CE, a woman who through audacious deception purportedly ascended to the highest office of the Catholic Church. Disguising herself as a man, she allegedly ascended the rigorous hierarchy undetected by her cunning intellect and capabilities. Her ultimate deception culminated in her election as Holy Father of the Roman Church. And the mystery only slips deeper. Pope Joan's exposure as a woman, so goes the legend, culminated in her shocking childbirth during a papal procession in Rome. As you do. To prevent further embarrassing occurrences, rumors later claimed a special pierced chair, the sedia stercoraria, was used to physically examine newly elected popes, with a pronouncement confirming their male sex. However, historical analysis suggests this chair predates the fully formed Pope Joan legend, and its original purpose was likely unrelated to verifying any papal gender. Maybe a juicy mid-mass doozy. Thus, the dramatic tale of a public birth serves as a compelling, though likely fabricated, origin for the ritual involving the sedia, the chair. This powerful and controversial myth challenges traditional power structures within the Church and continues to fuel discussions about gender, authority, and historical truth, factors never more relevant than today, when the very concept of gender is publicly on trial. Geoffrey of Monmouth, 12th century. Geoffrey of Monmouth was a medieval cleric and writer living from approximately 1100 to 1155. He is most famous for his influential bestseller, Historia Regum Britanniae, aka The History of the Kings of Britain. For its time, it was a mammoth chronicle of pre-Anglo-British history. There was only one caveat. Much of this historical threadwork was, to put it bluntly, utter bullshit, spun by dear old Jeff himself. He was nice enough to cite his sources, in his words, a very ancient book in the British tongue, provided to him by one Walter Archdeacon at Oxford. But to this day, no modern historian has ever discovered this so-called original text, or really any previous text referencing it. So many have largely dismissed Geoffrey's bookie-wook as fabrication, believing he imaginatively blended existing Welsh legends, historical accounts, and oral tradition. Geoffrey most famously added one notable account to the annals of British history. You've heard of him. He profoundly shaped the King Arthur legend, cementing Arthur and Merlin's central roles in medieval literature. Exactly which historical figures, if any, were truly amalgamated to birth this legendary king is the biggest question. There are fragments of elements of many. But because Geoffrey's account was so confident in its approach, even now a fervent desire persists to locate Arthur's lost grave, or the cave of Merlin, or the legendary sword Excalibur. Thanks to Geoffrey's careless hand with delicate history, the truths of Arthurian legend remain a mystery, and it's more likely he deceived generations into believing a fictional narrative as historical fact, lending credence to what is likely the most expensive hoax east of Oak Island. Perkin Warbeck, 15th century. Perkin Warbeck is the name attributed to a 15th century royal pretender claiming to be Richard of Shrewsbury, son of Edward IV and youngest of the princes in the Tower, presumed murdered by Richard III, or whomever, years earlier. This audacious assertion allowed him to garner support from various European powers, including the Duchess of Burgundy, Margaret of York, who recognized him as her nephew and groomed him in the role. Despite insisting he was the boy Prince Richard, Henry declared him a foreign commoner from Flanders named Perkin Warbeck, with no ties to England or its ruling family. He deceived numerous rulers across the continent, leveraging their political ambitions and nurturing the lingering Yorkist sentiment in England and Ireland. His status as the young would-be king lay in his persistent and surprisingly successful impersonation, convincing powerful figures of his royal lineage and launching multiple, albeit failed, attempts to invade England and usurp the throne. The fact Henry VII was married to the sister of the presumably late Prince Richard suggests the king's reluctance to execute Warbeck, lending some credence to the pretender's alleged identity. Despite leniency upon his first capture in 1497, Warbeck's repeated attempts to escape the Tower of London led to his execution in 1499. Warbeck's lasting legacy is his audacious challenge to the nascent Tudor dynasty, with certain death a consequence of failure. And without DNA evidence, we cannot know for sure which story is true. The Tudors were victorious, and history is written by the victors. His execution could be considered the last gasp of the Wars of the Roses, a Hail Mary pass thrown after the game has long since lost. Guy Fawkes, 17th century. Guy Fawkes was an English Catholic conspirator and terrorist who lived from 1570 to 1606. He is defined by his role in the infamous Gunpowder Plot, the planned attempt to detonate explosives beneath the English Parliament during its opening session. This plot aimed to assassinate King James I and the entire Parliament, effectively destabilizing the English government. This plot, though unsuccessful, became a symbol of radical action and political dissent. The Guy Fawkes mask, popularized by the V for Vendetta graphic novel and film, has become a global symbol of anonymity and anti-establishment protest. This transformation from a historical figure to a faceless symbol adds an element of mystery and ambiguity to his persona. He failed in his attempt, was captured, and subsequently executed in 1606, along with his fellow conspirators. The secrecy of the plot, and its potential far-reaching changes, adds to this mystery surrounding the man and the plot. We know not the extent of his madness, or to how hot his fervor burned. He is immortalized in his paradoxical symbolic status as a rebel, a figure both reviled and in certain contexts admired, and through the enduring tradition of Guy Fawkes Night, when bonfires blaze and effigies are hung as a reminder of the failed plot and its historical significance. Jakamo Kasanova, 18th century. Jakamo Kasanova was an 18th century Italian adventurer and writer born 1725, died 1798. He was a master of charm and deception, navigating European high society with unparalleled skill. Casanova's enduring mystery stems from his deliberate construction of a fluid persona, blurring the lines between reality and fabrication. He meticulously crafted his own narrative through his own sprawling tall tales, and recorded these quasi-fictional memoirs in 12 volumes, about as long as the King James Bible and the Lord of the Rings, combined. He was a cunning deceiver, employing charm and wit to manipulate people, often for financial gain. He engaged in various schemes and cons, forgeries, and often claimed grandiose expertise in various fields such as law and medicine without qualification. He adopted various identities and titles, shapeshifting to gain access or escape consequences, making his true character elusive. His motivations remain ambiguous. Was he genuinely charming or merely manipulative? Were his relationships genuine connections or mere conquests? Major gaps and contradictions in his life story, particularly regarding his political and financial dealings, further add to his enigma. Count of Saint-Germain, 18th century. A mysterious European figure of the 18th century, the self-proclaimed Count's origins and true identity remain unknown. Nobody knew his name, where he was from, not even which country, nor how old he truly was. He claimed to possess alchemical knowledge, immortality, and ancient secrets, cultivating an aura of mystique. His deception lay in maintaining this persona and manipulating high society. Like Kasanova, his claims to expertise and experience often exceeded his true capabilities, such as breakthroughs in dyes and ceramics manufacturing. His biggest claim to fame is his enduring enigma. He neither fully failed nor succeeded, as his legend persists even without concrete evidence. His lasting legacy is the enduring fascination with his mysterious persona, fueling countless theories and works of fiction. He supposedly perished in 1784, nestled within the castle walls of Prince Charles of Hesse-Kassel. Yet, as with any self-respecting immortal, death proved a mere suggestion. Sightings of the Count persisted for decades, a phantom at a Parisian Masonic gathering, a shade in the court of Catherine the Great, even a spectral hiker upon Mount Shasta in 1930. These post-mortem jaunts spawned wild theories. Ascended master, a spiritual titan akin to Buddha or Christ, a chameleon posing as Christopher Columbus or Francis Bacon. New Age mystics embraced him as a guru, a conduit for channeled wisdom. The truth may lie between myth and reality, probably closer to myth. While his documented escapades intrigue, his fantastical feats were likely fanciful stories of his own creation. Thus, the Count remains a riddle of his own concoction, a con artist draped in the robes of immortality. Lord Gordon Gordon, 19th century. Lord Gordon Gordon, the Gordon so nice they named him twice, was a 19th century con artist of deeply mysterious origins, his true identity and background remaining an enduring enigma. His gift was his audacious ability to weave elaborate tales and manipulate prominent figures with breathtaking confidence. He deceived wealthy industrialists, government officials, and even international entities with his fabricated persona and cunning schemes, crafting a web of deceit that stretched across continents. His biggest claim to fame is his successful swindling of Jay Gould, a feat that triggered an international incident involving the United States and Canada. He partially succeeded in gaining wealth and notoriety, leveraging his charm and audacious lies to penetrate the highest echelons of society. However, his deceptions ultimately led to his dramatic downfall and untimely demise. He died in 1874 by his own hand, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and bewildered victims. He is remembered as a master manipulator and the bizarre international situation his actions created, a testament to the power of deception in a rapidly changing world. The sheer scope of his manipulation and the lasting questions about his true identity cement his place as a figure of enduring mystery. Rasputin, early 20th century. Hailing from a Siberian peasant background, Grigory Rasputin's early 20th century ascent to the inner circle of the Russian imperial family remains a captivating enigma. He supposedly held miraculous healing abilities and could regularly soothe the boy prince Alexei of hemophilia and related health conditions, even from far distances. This miraculous touch inspired significant political sway over Queen Alexandra, landing Rasputin a powerful figure within the Romanov inner circle. Think a Russian Grimo Wormtongue. This charisma and claim of divine influence made him a publicly unpopular figure and target for revolutionaries who saw through his alleged deception. Revolution ended his imperial influence and he was murdered in 1916, having been poisoned, shot, and finally drowned. The confluence of his improbable rise from peasantry to palace power, coupled with his shadowy nature and the dramatic circumstances of his demise, solidifies his place as one of history's most mysterious and consequential figures of fraudulence. Elsie Wright and Francis Griffiths, 20th century. From the quiet backdrop of early 20th century Yorkshire emerged Francis Griffiths and Elsie Wright, two cousins whose seemingly innocent game with a camera would ignite a decades-long controversy. Their creation of the Cottingley fairies, photographs depicting themselves interacting with ethereal winged beings, captivated the public and blurred the known lines between fantasy and reality. These images even convinced prominent respected figures such as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, rewarding the young lady's credibility. The authenticity of these photographs created a mystery that endured for decades after their capture, creating a lasting debate over the existence of fairies and similar otherworldly beings, highlighting the human desire to believe in magic and the credible power of photographic evidence. The truth, however, remained elusive until the late 1970s, when the now elderly cousins finally admitted to the elaborate fabrication that had fooled the world for so long. I still believe, don't you? Clap your goddamn hands, you animals.
Okay, I'm clapping.
John Dillinger, 20th century. John Dillinger carved a notorious path emerging from the American Midwest and through the nation's banks, his exploits transforming him into a sort of folk hero, a charismatic villain the public couldn't quite quit. It wasn't just his bank robberies, it was the audacious style with which he did it, coupled with an uncanny knack for escaping seemingly inescapable jails, a fedora-wearing Harry Houdini. With his style and swagger, he bamboozled the public into regarding him as a daring Depression-era Robin Hood. His string of brazen heists and theatrical jailbreaks gained him the infamy he sought, public enemy number one. His career was allegedly cut short by a hail of FBI bullets outside Chicago cinema in 1934. But the public wasn't sold on this unglamorous end to their beloved flamboyant bad boy. The initial disbelief surrounding Dillinger's demise stemmed after it was reported the corpse presented physical discrepancies. This dead Dillinger allegedly had differing eye color, a present tooth he allegedly lacked, and a chin dimple likewise lacking. Compounded by reports of Dillinger's early experiments with plastic surgery, speculation that the FBI might have identified the wrong fellow spread, and many romanticizing conspiracy theorists believe it to this day. Officially, the conniving bank con is a closed case, but unofficially, enough asterisks and question marks linger to consider it a great mystery of recent memory. Anna Anderson, 20th century. Throne pretenders were thought to be a relic of simpler times until Anna Anderson entered the spotlight. With the sheer force of her conviction and perhaps a dash of theatrical flair, she stepped into the fractured fairy tale of the Romanov dynasty, claiming to be none other than the Grand Duchess Anastasia, the Tsar's supposedly executed younger daughter. Her unwavering insistence on her royal identity that she maintained for decades was an Oscar-worthy performance, even if the historical evidence suggested otherwise. Without the remains of the executed Romanov children to crush any rumors, speculation was permitted to spread. She deceived a surprising number of people, from those clinging to the lost Romanov mystique to those simply captivated by good old-fashioned mystery. Like Perkin Warbeck, her knowledge of certain royal traditions and settings was convincing enough to dupe displaced nobles and real Romanov family members. She garnered a dedicated following who swore by her Romanov blood for decades, until the pesky matter of DNA and the eventual discovery of the real Anastasia's corpse eventually crashed the party. Nevertheless, the enduring debate over her true identity and the sheer audacity of her decades-long claims solidify her lasting legacy as a captivating historical what-if, a testament to the power of self-belief and the enduring allure of royal secrets. And finally, D.B. Cooper, 20th century. D.B. Cooper, like many names on this list, is one applied than actually carried by its holder, a nom de guerre cloaked in the very mists of anonymity. This veritable persona incognita, who pirated the aerial domain of 1971, left in his wake a yarn spun with loose threads of audacity and utter inscrutability. His defining place in history, one might posit, is his absence from it, a lacuna in the annals of criminology, for the man himself remains a spectral enigma. His singular act of deception is all we have, nothing before, nothing after. He hijacked a plane, secured a large ransom, and then made a dramatic parachute jump into the shadowy wilderness of the Pacific Northwest. His magnum opus, if one dares to label such, was his flawless vanishing act, a departure so complete it has confounded legions of diligent investigators and spawned a veritable cottage industry of speculative conjecture. While his corporeal form presumably succumbed to the fate of old age at some juncture, the precise details of his earthly terminus remain shrouded in a knot of unanswered questions. Unlike Pope Joan, we know for a fact he existed. Unlike Dillinger, we never knew his actual name or origins. Unlike Warbeck or Rasputin, he never suffered for his crimes, that we know of anyway. Unlike Anna Anderson or the Cottingley girls, we had no deathbed confession or post-mortem reveal. His enduring legacy, therefore, is his apotheosis into an iconic outlaw, a phantom menace who achieved the seemingly impossible, forever etched in the collective consciousness as the very embodiment of the perfect unsolved caper, a testament to the enduring allure of the unknown and the tantalizing prospect of the perfect crime committed without failure or bloodshed. If you like this video, may I recommend this video on why men are obsessed with the Roman Empire. I have been the Professor. You're always welcome in my neck of the woods.
And like that,